on video. So, meeting come to order. Please. If you will, if you haven't, would you make sure that you sign in on the sign-in sheet? It's on the back table there. And there's also a, it should be an updated contact list. I had,
Do you want me to?
is your email correct on that updated list?
Updated list.
And I had to change the phone number for Benita.
Let me see, Dave. Yes, it's right.
It's right on that one. Okay. I changed Benita's phone number.
What's that?
I had Benita's phone number wrong on the other one, so it's correct here. I believe it's correct here. Pastor Clark
It's correct.
is not going to be here. Justin had told me that he is
You're too scratchy for me.
He is going, first and third Sundays to
Bye.
Hey,
Lakeview.
Mike's in a meeting. Talk to you later.
So we'll look at that for our fall meeting to see that, make sure that we can get him in here. 'Cause I think we intended to set a date, or at least my notes said we had a date. We'll check that against the first and third and see if we can get him in here, see if we can change that.
It's set for the third.
Yeah. So we can look and see if we can change that to make sure that he is available for that. Opening prayers, would someone like to take care of opening prayers in Pastor Clark's absence? I will do it. Heavenly Father, we thank you for this opportunity to gather here. Thank you for the safe journeys, and we do ask for a safe journey for return home. Keep our hearts and minds on the business at hand, to your glory. In Jesus' name we ask, amen. Let's see, do we need any introductions? I think we're all familiar with who's here. We all good? John, everybody's good? Pam?
Pat could not get through. She tried, so she won't be joining. She
Okay.
couldn't get it to work. She got the email, but she couldn't get hers to connect, so.
Pat, Cunningham.
I was waiting for her name
Remote
to pop
is not
up
going
to
work.
accept her, but
Okay. Any proxies? Shouldn't be, everybody's here, so no. Okay. I'm really curious if you are all getting the notifications that I'm sending out. This notification, I included quite a bit of information. I'm assuming you are getting your information. Is there anyone who is aware of that they've had to make contact with a third party to get to this meeting? Are you getting your emails and data? Okay, all right, very good. How many of you are being contacted by your congregations? Because I'm also sending that notification to your office. Are you getting a notification, or are you having any contact with your office staff that are saying, oh, by the way, I got a notification for your meeting? No?
I think we did.
Okay, all right, and you're not? Okay, so I'm uncertain about those emails, whether they're actually working or not. I have emails, but there's no way for me to check right now whether or not they're actually getting it through. I may have to make a phone call and say, hey, is this working for you? Make your contact.
I think I have a list, if we make a copy of it, that has all the current emails and everything on them
Okay,
for all the churches.
I'd love that, to go against what I have written, to check
Okay.
against what I've got written. Thank you. Do you need copies of the last minutes to review them? I didn't make additional copies because there was so much paper that I sent out. Does anybody need any copies printed? Okay, so let's work on the prior minutes. Any comments?
I'm not a director, but I have a little concern that the minutes of prior meetings, there's a motion and a second, but no record of there being approval. And I think that's probably a necessary thing for corporate business.
You're talking about in the meeting, minutes of the meeting prior to this last meeting?
I'm talking in this, the meeting, the prior meeting's minutes has two items are for approval of minutes. Both of them, well, actually, there are two or three items there that have motion made, that it was seconded, but no record of the approval.
I have those minutes here, so
It-
I can look and see.
All that's needed is a little bit of a notation, unanimously approved or approved with, one objection, or approved with a
Okay,
clarification, or approved with, amendment or correction.
okay. That would be, in reference would be like the third paragraph down on the first page.
I'm assuming that's the one.
Okay,
I think if you open the paper, it's right there.
In all instances where there was a motion made and seconded, and I was present, I know that they were all approved, but there's no record of your motions being approved, which is necessary for corporate.
Just says made by, seconded by,
Okay.
and that's it.
But then it doesn't say approved.
approved by, or approved.
Yeah,
Audits do the same thing. There's no, okay.
Well, he's saying no, that you have to actually have it approved.
Type it in that it's approved.
You say motion
Not
passed.
just that it's a
You see how
motion.
this one says Audit Finances to review.
Seconded by
Yeah, oh, no, here's a good one. Motion was made by Justin,
And I
seconded
think
by
John's
Debbie.
comment
Leave it
Budget
nowhere.
to allow, but
You
it
type
doesn't
in
say
that
it was passed.
approved.
Yeah.
Or that it
They
did
usually
pass
use the same motion
on
passed.
all motions
they
that are
do.
made. Do we need to take action on that for any past, okay?
No, you just
No.
need to correct your minutes.
All right.
Well, is that a correction to these minutes then?
It is,
Yes.
but I'm not in any position to offer it. So one of you folks are gonna have to say, hey, let's put an adopted or motion carried,
I make a motion to correct the minutes to read as approved by a vote
Is there,
last meet, of the last meeting,
okay, with the correction that the motions that are approved are marked as approved.
right?
And a second,
I second, Pam.
is there any discussion or any questions about that?
I would say that if, like John was saying, if there is, somebody that does deny it, that it should say, denied by one, approved by majority, or approved by all, would be my,
I think it's a
one, two
good
addition.
policy, but your rules of order already call for that.
And sometimes I've seen it just said passed.
Yeah,
Without the,
Yeah, without anything else, it just says passed.
just
Or you
pass.
shortened M,
Okay.
move second.
Motion
You can
approved.
take a look at
MSP.
some of this.
Motion approved by unanimous vote.
yeah,
Just
just
To
something
me, that says.
simple. If ever you're off,
Okay, you and I'll go.
you
over
wanna
that.
make sure that the record.
All right. Motion and a second. Is there any other discussion? Those in favor of approving the motions with the revision that the motions in the minutes were approved, say aye.
Aye.
Are there any opposed, say nay? Thank you. Before you leave, you and I can go over that and we'll redo that, okay?
Well, let's see, I have. I see
So
what it says.
clarification, in these
Approve
minutes will,
minutes by Steve and to approve the minutes.
I think the point is to note in writing that it was approved officially for the purpose of the nonprofit.
so clarification in these minutes will be amended? Is
Yes.
that- Is that?
Yes.
That was the
Yeah.
motion.
Okay.
Yes.
That'll be amended.
Can I ask you guys all to speak up? This is a huge room, and you're talking soft, and I can't hear everything you guys are saying. So if you speak up, that would help me a lot. Thank you.
Thank you for letting us know.
Well, it's
That's a
hard to-
big barrier for
Yeah.
all of our older people, and
Yeah.
so I appreciate that.
Yeah, my hearing isn't what it used to be. I do the same thing at our church at our ladies' meeting. Our room is huge and, you know, so I've learned that. So thank you guys again.
Treasurer report. Pam?
It's on the table. So the sheet that's in portrait view that has the bank accounts and so it's a,
Oh, never mind, I'll get 'em. Sorry, I
me.
didn't realize it was- Can we hand some down? I didn't realize we were picking them up from there either.
There's three. Who else?
I'll learn.
Is there 24 or just 23?
Should be three.
that's it, just that one.
Well, I have both of those.
You've got. Yeah, the-
Yeah.
I don't know which one, Pam?
This one.
The one that's in portrait,
Got it,
up and down direction.
This one. Yep.
So I'm trying to get caught up. So, this one, all I did was add another column showing December 31st, bank balances, the income through that time frame, and the grants that were paid, and any other expenses, which were none. So basically, the income is through the dividends that were reinvested, and then a capital gains. Expenses of $465, which was one grant. And then the bank balance is at the top of that. I have not transferred anything from mutual funds account from Thrivent yet. And the other two reports are just showing the balance on the Thrivent mutual fund account. So one is the report for the year from January through December, and the other one is January through March of '24.
Okay. On this sheet,
That's as
this-
much as I could get done for today.
okay, there's your,
The market's
So-
moving in a good direction.
It's going good.
Under grants, $465. Was that paid this year? or
That
last?
was paid in October.
Okay, that was paid in October.
so current balance is 317,442.
Yes.
Okay.
Okay. Let's see here. Donations, money paid out, income, investment. Summer outing, nobody's done anything.
Has there been any more grant requests
No.
at this time?
I
No.
have not seen any. Have you sent any? Did I miss? Okay.
When you got down to there, I was gonna, yeah, we have not had any grant requests for this year yet.
I think Grace will have one, and I think Dave, you said you probably would have one coming up.
Probably have
And
one.
St. John will have one for,
Okay,
We'll get them all done before August. I'm gone the month of August, so if you don't get them done before August, send in before August, it won't get done till September. Just a word of advice.
okay. I heard you, I heard you. Any questions, any further questions on the treasurer's report?
I have a question. Have the shares, do they remain the same number of shares?
So on,
I don't see them on the report.
oh,
On the
I'm
back.
sorry, on the back
Yeah.
side.
Okay,
I
thank you.
did not explain that.
We should have gained more shares.
allocation and everything.
Yeah, we gained 68.63 shares
Okay.
from reinvesting our dividends.
And the price per share is?
1568.
Yeah, okay, all right. Okay,
Thank you.
It's more of a scavenger hunt, sorry.
No, I
any
thought
other
it was
questions
very-
on, regarding the
I'm used to
report,
seeing
for the
these
treasurer's
reports.
report? Pam, I have on my notes, financial review for 2023 and financial reviews for 2020 and 2021.
2020 and 21 are still on my desk. 23, we would have to find someone to do that. And then I can get them the books to review. I guess, have to find somebody.
Okay, let's see, do we, I think, Steve, you had done a financial review before, are you able to do that for 2023?
I'd rather not.
Okay, do we have anyone else that can, I don't know, who can do a review?
Not me. Not for this year, not for 23. I don't know if, does it state that it has to be a qualified individual or anyone from this board? Can it be an outside person?
It's been done by other non-bookkeeper types in the past.
Yeah, and I believe it, yeah, it is not an audit, it's simply a review, right? I have no idea how to do a financial review.
Oh, look who's there.
Hi, Pat.
Can
Oh.
you hear?
Hold on, I gotta go
Can't hear, but
I'm open to suggestions, we need to do a review for 23, and I don't know of a person that is offhand who's qualified to do that. I have no,
What does it involve in reviewing? I mean,
It's just a review, it's not a.
isn't it just reviewing what's been paid out and what's been requested and what's,
Balancing the check, checking the check registers and making sure
Right,
that all
so-
of the checks are accurately reported and that kind of
so
stuff.
it's kind of like an audit.
yeah, it is kind of like
Yeah.
an audit.
It's going through the bank statements, making sure that, and these bank statements have the check and the backside of the check, so it shows who has signed it. So those are some things that can be an issue. It says it's made payable to one person, but somebody else endorsed it. So it's just checking what has gone through the bank, what was approved in the minutes, and just cross-checking that the grants were approved, what was actually paid is what was approved, and what went through the bank corresponds to all of that. We don't write very many checks, so it's pretty quick.
I've done, I mean, I'm on audit committees, so I could do it, but I was thinking that maybe we could get Pat to do it, because then we're all in the same area.
Sure.
So like if Pat, well, yeah, it doesn't have to be another.
That could help you.
Yeah, so if Pat and I could do it with you,
Sure.
because we're kind of in the same area, so someone wouldn't have to come from Medford or Klamath Falls or.
Pat, did you hear us? Oh, she's
She
muted.
said she'd do it.
I just volunteered
I
her.
I heard her.
I'm volunteering you. Yeah.
Thumbs up or thumbs down?
Where's the camera?
so
I mean,
don't
I
know
just
whether
did an
that-
audit of somebody's books, so.
I think she heard us, but
Yeah.
I don't think she knows. We can't.
Yeah, I heard your outline of the audit, Pam. Is that what
Debbie,
you're
if you'll
saying?
take that responsibility, I would be,
Okay, and I'll talk to
Appreciate it.
Pat.
and you can,
I can hear her in my ears.
Is she saying she'll do it?
Yes,
Yes.
Yes? Okay.
okay, so
I just-
we'll assign that to
Okay.
Debbie, thank you.
Okay.
And I'm pretty sure, I'm making the assumption we kept it in-house mainly as a cost savings thing, because I'm sure that if we go outside of house, then we would have to pay a fee.
Yeah.
I'm kind of making the
Well,
assumption.
unless it's
that-
just someone in your congregation
Somebody
that
in the
could do
congregation.
it.
Yeah,
Do
I
it.
mean, I've just finished an audit for someone, so.
okay,
So
if you'll take
question-
care of that, then.
so-
Pat has a question.
Yeah.
I have a question. So is something because I missed all the first part, has something came up that is not allowing us to do our own audits?
So Pat's question is there something that came up that is not allowing us to do our own audits? And so my response to that is no. We do our own audits, but we have to change who's doing it because they're now the treasurer.
Okay, sounds great. I approve.
Okay.
Okay. All right. And, Pam, you'll take care of 20 and 21. Okay, very good. Thank you. I have a leftover note that was a question, unprocessed payment to Oregon Corporate. Pam, I believe you and I talked about that. That is completely taken care of. And if you happen to go online, you'll see the addresses and all that stuff has been changed with Oregon Corporate. So that should be a non-issue any longer.
Did you only have one?
We need to approve,
Any other comments or questions regarding treasury?
approve her report or not.
I don't know if we approve for the financials, Dave is asking.
Do we approve her report or?
No, the treasurer's report, we had this conversation a couple meetings ago. The treasurer's report in both places that I looked, Robert Rules of Order and one other location, does not need board approval. Matter of fact, they generally do not do board approval. And I think, Barry, you had brought that up earlier. The only place that it seems we would do a board approval is on the reviews that take place.
Correct.
Okay? Committee reports.
What about this one here, unprocessed?
That's one I just referred to. It's already taken care of.
Oh.
It's a non-issue. It's left over from a couple meetings ago, and it's all done.
Okay, I wasn't at the last meeting, so.
Grant Committee.
That's,
We have no grants that have been requested for 2024 yet, so.
How far ahead do you want a grant request? Because our church will probably have one.
Well, you could, as soon as you can get them to, I think is good, because then we know how much money is gonna be coming out.
Okay,
So, it gives us more of an idea of what's
Yeah.
happening.
okay.
So, and like I said, I'm going to be gone the whole month of August, so people that delay until August and they want it in September, they're probably not gonna get it in a timely manner
Well,
because,
because we do a picnic in September, and I've done it, we've had a grant the last 2 years. but I
Right.
know they're gonna want it again, because our picnic is
right,
just
so
huge
as,
success.
and you probably know how much you're probably going to request.
Probably the same amount we've had before.
Right,
Okay,
so,
I'll get that done and.
yeah,
Get
anytime.
it to you, I'll just send it to you.
And Pat, and we can, at least then we can process it, we know how much money is going out and how
Right.
much we still have available.
Okay.
We haven't had a problem, so we've always had extra money,
Yeah, I think we have one.
Send your grant in immediately so it can get on the board.
I believe,
Pat says send your grant in immediately so it can get on the board.
That's right.
all right. John and Debbie, I think I got some
policy.
documents, procedures things. Are you prepared to bring those forward, or do we want to wait until another meeting?
Well, I don't think that, not that much has really changed, we just kind of clarified everything.
I think it would probably be a good idea for the board to review them, because they're going to be your policy. But if we're not prepared to do that today, then we can do it in October.
I don't believe I printed out in either one of those documents and brought them. I would say that if we're, unless somebody feels that it's urgent to deal with those policies and procedures now, I probably would not pursue that until next meeting. Is that acceptable to everyone?
Yes.
Okay,
Yes.
that's kind of a housekeeping.
Right.
Okay, so, Forms and procedures next meeting. Fall meeting.
One thing that I did on the grants, one thing I did share with Dave was I had done up a list of the grants we did for 2023, and I put them in our newsletter at our church, mainly just to let people know that Green Mountain is alive and well, and we are functioning and doing things in our communities. And so I think that that's important. I know Carl Olson, who used to be on the board, asked me at one point, he said, well, what's Green Mountain doing these days, you know? And I thought, well, you know, he's asking because he's familiar, but other people might like to know that, so.
Yeah. I think that is, in our congregation, I've noticed that there's a general lack of awareness and even understanding what Green Mountain is doing. We did the needs assessment, we finished the needs assessment, and you can tell by the notes that are written, we haven't kept up with keeping the congregation as a whole informed. I did have a meeting with the board, the council, and we had a meeting with the lay ministry, but that did not go over or did not get its way into the congregation, so I think you're probably right.
Maybe that's something the grant committee could work on at the end of the year, just kind of a little bit of a bulletin insert.
Well, I have the one for 2023, the
That's
list,
a-
what I did.
That's a good
So,
template. Just-
you know, for people to use and put in there,
You sent that to me.
you know, that I had sent to you, right? And I have a copy of it here, so. I
Okay.
just think it was important to let people know what was being done.
Okay. Let's see, finance. I put finance on the agenda, but most of my notes in back years, say we don't have a finance committee at this point. So I believe that's a non-issue right at the moment. It may turn out, as we go forward, particularly with the long-range planning, we may want a finance committee, or we may bring it back up. But at this point, I don't see anywhere in the past few years that we've actually had a finance committee. Is there anyone who's disagrees with that or is aware that it does exist? Okay?
Uh-oh, that's- oh.
Oh, and now I can't
Is
hear her
she-
either. I think that's because my
Is-
phone went off. Hold on, Pat.
She's recalling the finance. There used to be a finance.
There did, but we had a few vehicles we were playing with, but then, and Steve remembers it well because he was on that committee, but,
Yep.
I think that those were back in Stan Snook days.
Yeah.
And we, I think, since moved to this vehicle, and it's been serving us quite well, even in those periods where the market has taken a dip, it seems to always have recovered. That was your experience, is that
Yeah.
correct?
Finance committee is the treasurer's job.
Okay. Steve, are you okay with that, having been on the finance committee? Are you
Yeah,
okay with
yeah,
what we're
yeah.
doing? Okay, all right. All right.
Pat, did you have a question? I can hear you now.
I didn't have a question, I had a comment, which is probably wrong. But the finance committees, I think, were really kicked in when we had, the markets were falling apart and they wanted to meet and see how they were gonna work with, who with, or whatever. I think that was mostly when the finance committees, and at least in my brain.
So she believes it was when the markets were failing and they wanted to kind of see where everything was going.
Okay,
And that's why the finance committee was initially brought up.
okay, all right. All right, thank you. Is it her equipment that's not working or ours?
Oh, I don't know. It changes every week.
Okay, all right.
No, so hers is working just fine. For some reason, it's not going back through our system,
Okay,
but I can hear her through my Bluetooth in my ears, but I can't get it to play back on the sound system.
okay,
So I don't know what's going on.
okay.
It's just a way of,
Jean?
it's a way of,
Benita,
it's a
winter
way of
outing.
muting me.
Any thoughts or any comments for the
We're struggling. They have changed everything up there, and we're trying to figure out how Green Mountain Ministry can, because the Tubing Hill is a total different identity than Diamond Lake, you have to go online. And what my thinking was, because I'm a lifeguard and we get, what do you call those? Like a
Voucher?
voucher. You can get a voucher. And I was wondering if they could do it, but we can't even contact them.
Well,
Is-
we need to contact them, and we're gonna do that pretty soon. We need to
Get- so-
contact the company, and email them and ask them exactly what we want and wait for
It's
a
not,
response.
hello,
And,
you know,
yeah,
ask questions too.
They
It's-
won't, they won't
And then they'll
talk
get
to
back
you
to
on
you
the
and
phone
say,
about it.
Are they a
So-
vendor that's available during the summertime, or are they only a,
Only in the winter.
I'm pretty sure it's only in the winter,
Only in the winter.
yeah.
okay.
And
Is there any chance they are being are they part of the Crater Lake?
Not that I
thing?
know of.
Okay, so they're probably not being replaced.
Yeah, it's a different one.
All right.
So
But
we
yeah, we
just
wanna
need
set
to
up
try to work out something, see if we can do that.
vouchers
set
so
up
that people,
So that
because
everybody can
everybody that gets,
go in there and reserve it, and it'll come off the,
they
amount
can't do it
that's
like
on
they did before, where we would get them and then we would have them sign them right there. No. They want individuals to sign right then
Waivers.
waivers. But if they have the waiver there, or the voucher in there, they could say, we want the voucher from there, and then they would pay that way through it.
Okay,
Does that make sense?
yes, it does, unfortunately. Yes.
And this is all through the inner tube hill, right?
This is for the Tubing Hill, yeah.
What about for the law? Excuse me, what about for the lodge itself?
The lodge is awesome. They're willing to do everything, you know.
Okay.
That stays the same, it's just the Tubing
You're
Hills.
dealing with two entities.
Yeah, and then they don't see each other. They don't
They
even,
don't talk.
no, they have no,
That's up to you.
Yeah.
You to provide the coordination.
yeah.
Would you make a note that the lodge is available, because I think that's gonna come up again in our, as a result of our, need survey, or at least from my point of view, it's going to.
Okay, the lodge is available for
Group.
it's,
Activities.
yeah, it's for a meeting place, and we have our service there,
And lunch in there.
and the lunch, and we can get food through them,
yeah.
and we have to work out the details on that, because that's all changed too. There's new rules about how you can do it and how you can't do it, to make sure it's safe.
But you know, I personally know the managers up there.
Do you?
And I don't know if I contacted them about the tube hill, if I can get any information for you or not.
They're just basically telling us that they have nothing to do with them.
Yep.
They have nothing to do with the tube hill.
No.
Get a
it's
phone
done.
number,
It's,
get a phone number.
Yeah, it's the same way as
Okay.
like Crater Lake. What do you call that?
The vending,
A vendor,
Vendor,
a third
yeah.
party
And
vendor.
they're not even, I don't think they're from the state of Oregon.
No.
They're probably from
You know, our
Utah,
whole
or
world is changing.
from,
Yeah.
you know, somewhere else. And,
Okay.
no personal. Hello.
yeah, and the prices have definitely went up.
Yeah.
It's, and we gotta figure out, when I write them the email, to figure out, can we get a group discount? Because the only discount they had up on there is a very small discount. It goes from $35 to 34 or 30, you know, 33, or it's not, $2 or $3 is the only discount. And we were getting almost a 50% discount. The $35 that we had, you know, if we had 40 people show up, somebody do the math, that's over $1,000 just for the Tubing Hill alone. You know, so it would be at least $2,000 to $3,000 for the expense of the whole thing.
Okay.
But we need to get it figured out, see if we can make something work.
Okay. Justin, summer, any comments or thoughts on summer outings?
It's coming up.
Yep.
Summer's coming up, I don't know if Shelby is.
You were struggling with the same thing in
Yeah.
terms of finding a viable location.
Yeah, so I guess there's two different things that I'm struggling with right now. My new business is pretty much gone all summer. And so I'm kind of out of the picture for most of the summer. And so I'm working on getting a spot, but I'm also working on trying to bring somebody in beside me in order to take over for the summer outing stuff. Because with me being gone all summer, it's not gonna, I can't be gone and try and run the summer camp. So.
Are you able to find someone to give you some help with that, or do we need to make some other kind of adjustments?
I'm working on it. I got a couple younger people in our congregation that I'm working with. Nobody has completely said yes, but they haven't completely told me no either.
Okay,
So
okay.
I guess that's a plus.
Maybe you'll get some help through the survey.
Yeah.
That
Yeah.
question's at the bottom.
Okay, keep me informed, or keep the board informed.
Yep.
Okay, very good. Okay, any other,
My question on that is, by the time you have a summer outing and we meet again, that's all history.
Probably
Yeah.
not
So
happening
you're
this
just
year.
gonna,
Well, I'll probably bring somebody in to run the summer outing, or
Okay.
I might see if Pastor can run it, Pastor Gary can run it, and I'll try and do all the back end stuff. We're looking at Fish Lake again. There's a young couple that bought it in 2018 or 19, and it was the last time we did Fish Lake, and super nice couple, and they've went through and started changing a lot of stuff in the park, and they've made bigger spots for bigger groups like ours.
so this would be like a camp out,
Yep.
okay,
Yep, so it's like a weekend camp. We usually get it like Thursday through Monday,
okay.
so that everybody can stay Sunday night if they wish, or we can stay later Sunday and not leave until the evening, because most of the time checkout's at like 10 or 11.
Yeah,
So we usually get it one extra day and one day before the weekend, so that if people want to come up, they
yeah,
can.
yeah.
okay?
And how would we know when it's gonna be and, you know, where it's gonna be? Is that gonna be an email to
I will send it out
to the
to all the
congregations?
congregations, and I will include all you guys in on
Okay.
it too, so that, you know, through our
Be
group, we
prepared.
know, and then through the congregations, they will
Encourage
know
them,
as
yeah.
well. So,
All right. Okay, old business. The bylaws. My intent was to send those through the email so you'd have an opportunity to review them. The process that was used to get to the document that I sent, and if you have a copy, does everybody have copies, or do you need copies of the new bylaws
Proposed.
proposal? Do you have a copy?
I do.
Have a copy.
Do you have a copy?
Pam
I don't
does.
think I have a copy.
Pam's got one. Steve, do you guys have your copies? Okay, very good. All right. Dave, you've got a copy?
I don't know, does Steve have one? Does he need one?
No, I don't have,
Okay.
Would you like one?
yeah, you got it.
Let me,
And Pat should have one.
she does.
I do not. I couldn't get things
So
out
the
of my.
process I used on this,
That's for Steve.
so the process I used for this was, there was no, or I wasn't able to locate a digital file of what I will call the original bylaws, which are dated 2000. So I put them in digitally to my computer and tried to make all the corrections and get it in correctly. I made a first revision, and the information I put in, what stated was a couple of things we had to do. One was notifications had to be corrected, and we had to put in the process for remote meetings. Those were the two primary things we started with. I took the instructions that are Oregon Revised Statute, I think it's chapter 65, and they have tons of information. Used that to put it in for remote meetings and for the for the notifications. Typed that up, asked John to review it. He did a lot of wordsmithing with it. And then in addition, we also added, there was a couple things that were not in there. A description for the pastor's position and a description for committees, I believe, the responsibilities of committees.
7 and 8, yeah.
So we added those things to there. I gave you my best copy here.
I can try to make it bigger, Pat.
Sorry, that's okay. You can laugh. I
One
can't
of the things
see
that came up,
all.
Magnifying
How's that?
could you, okay.
I'm just sharing my screen with her so that she can see it.
All right, so one of the things that came up on the remote meetings that was a challenge for me was the way that Oregon Revised Statutes did the ballots, voting. And you can ballot by stand-up, you can ballot by eye, you can do hand raising, but a ballot is considered, or their perception was a secret ballot. We have a provision in our bylaws for a ballot that is, I guess I would refer to as a secret ballot as opposed to a show of hands of some kind. That was kind of a problem because what the Chapter 65 described was something that I found cumbersome and didn't know how to do. John came up with a solution to that, and you'll see the solution is written up in the bylaws, primarily on the voting. First of all, I believe that we dropped on Article 3, see, I don't have any. Yeah, Article 3, paragraph, what I would call paragraph 3, the annual election shall be by ballot or by polling. That is, or by polling is Division 2. We've changed that and dropped it to a phrase in the voting that any board member may ask for a ballot, but a ballot on voting for the positions is not required. So there's a little shift right there. Am I making sense? Is that you following now? Okay.
Yeah, so under voting, it says upon request of any director of the vote.
Yes,
Question will be made by ballot.
that's correct. Now, the intent on, if you saw it in electronic file, it would come across as draft number 2. The original draft one, number 1 is the one John and I were working on. Draft 2 is the one you're being presented with now. So if you have an electronic file, it'll show draft 2. It may not on the printout. It would only be, and I don't believe I shipped anybody an electronic file except John. Everything else,
Oh, okay.
I don't
So
believe
we
I
should-
did it as a file.
This was from everything that you sent out for
Yes,
our meeting.
yes, that's correct. So the question is, do you feel a need to go line by line through this? Have you read this? And probably what we need to do is have a motion to bring it on the floor so we can have discussion. Like I said, the main goal was to make the corrections that we had to make for remote meetings and for notifications. The additions for the committee members and the pastor were primarily because they weren't in there, and it clarified those responsibilities. I believe those descriptions match what we are doing. I don't think they're anything foreign to that. Comments by the board?
I don't think we need to go line for line in it. I mean, there's some red lines for sure that, changing wording and things that,
All the red is indicated is either new or changes from the original draft.
so, Pat, if I'm going too fast, tell me to slow down.
It's moving all over the place, but I'm trying to keep up. That's okay. So let me ask a question.
We approve this now,
The
and
officers,
then we'll have to approve it at the next meeting, and actually 2 more meetings.
One second, Pat.
Dave makes a point. If you are in agreement with this and you approve it at this point, it needs a second reading at the next meeting before it comes in effect, it goes into effect. There are 2 consecutive meetings, and you cannot, according to our own bylaws, you cannot change any of the wording after the first approval to the beginning of the second approval. It has to be as first approved. We need 2 consecutive meetings to apply it as a new set of bylaws. 2 consecutive, not 3.
So Pat, I took you off so that maybe you can talk to everybody. Go ahead and ask your question.
okay, well, it's kind of a late question. My question is the ballot part versus the just hands, or, I don't understand that part. Can somebody, we'll just say yes or no or whatever, tell me quickly?
Pat, are you able to hear me?
Yes, I am, very well.
Okay, the reference to the voting was simply a general statement. When we vote as a board, the accepted ways to vote are by verbal, by hand, or by standing. We generally use verbal. The 4th way is by ballot. And in our bylaws, and I believe it was under Chapter 2, Article 2, we were required to do a ballot for the Board of Director positions. It would be Article 2, Paragraph 3. That we changed to the annual election of directors shall occur on a second day semi-annual meeting. We removed the word ballot because we have not been doing it by ballot. We waived it, and we have not been voting by ballot. However, we put the option of voting by ballot in Section 4, voting, the second line, upon request of any director, the vote in question shall be by ballot. So we've left the ballot open, or the opportunity for a ballot or a secret ballot, moved its location, and the ballot or the voting of board members is not required to be by ballot. That's a change. John, did I say that correct? Okay.
So I understand, but I understood what you said to say that we're gonna continue doing what we've always done unless something comes up that should be done by ballot.
That is correct.
Okay, gotcha. So sorry to backtrack on you.
Oh, good.
I can't hear you now.
He's not talking.
Oh, I can't hear you. Oh, good. Sorry.
And we did put, because there was nothing in for the treasurer will provide the board of directors with a written report. That wasn't in there before, that was added. You see the verbiage for the pastoral advisor and the committees. Comments, thoughts, like, don't like?
I would make a motion that we accept the new bylaws as our first voting as written.
This referred to draft 2, because that's the way I've got it digitally.
Okay, draft 2.
Draft 2, that's just for my purpose, okay?
I'll second.
Dave will second. I'm sorry.
Need to accept, what I call proposed
Correct.
bylaw changes, right?
Yes.
Okay.
I just-
Okay.
Second by Dave. Any further discussion regarding,
So
okay,
Debbie was pointing out that the September date adopted,
Down in red, it'll be October instead.
that's correct, that's just a
Okay.
placeholder that I'll put
Okay.
in correctly.
Okay,
I didn't want it to disappear.
Right.
I want that in there, okay?
We'll go searching for the red.
Okay, floor is open for discussion on the bylaw changes. Any other comments or thoughts or concerns?
So I guess my only thought comment would be, since there could be no change of wording from the time that we accept this until next time, we need to put a date on that before we accept it. Am I incorrect in this?
yeah,
Because
so
I-
our meeting's gonna be October, whatever the meeting is.
Do I have to preset the date of
No, you have a
approval?
proposal that's in front of everybody right now,
Right.
and you've
Proposal
called it
as of
version
today's
2.
date.
Yeah,
So
Well, where you put September and all the X's, I guess that's where you.
that's my only
Yeah.
concern would be, if we can't change any wording on there, technically it says September XXXXX, that would be changing wording on there.
I see. So what, maybe we
How
should
come-
visit, table this motion
Well,
and set
except
the
that-
next meeting date.
Well, except that it's not part of the
content.
content. It's just the date it's adopted.
I believe as a board, you could waive that September XXX if you chose to as part of your motion.
I
Our
have a
next
question.
meeting, Just next meeting.
Pam has a question, go ahead.
I don't understand, which I don't usually understand, but, all of this blah, blah, blah we did today, if you can't change anything before the next meeting, then, and you're gonna vote at the next meeting to accept it, what good does it do to say we can change things? When do you do that? Today?
Yeah,
It would have to be changed and written prior to the vote being approved.
So, yeah.
So if I saw something in there I didn't like, would suggest a change, then I could write a note to whom, and so that it could be expressed before the next meeting, and then it could be brought up at the next meeting? Is that the question?
She could, but
You could, if that gets approved to be put into the bylaws or changed in the bylaws, then we start all over and we're at approval 1 again. And then we have to wait to our second meeting so that it gets voted twice.
Okay, so to whom would the change request go to, and how would it be approved if there's no meetings in between? I'm just asking questions because I'm a question asker.
you need to make the change now, right now.
Okay.
If you see
Okay.
something, you need to change it now.
I can't-
Otherwise, we're going into another 2 years.
That's okay with me, no, I'm just kidding. I couldn't get this out of my machine, my computer, so, and you guys know I don't do well with it sometimes when people change things. Yes, thanks, Debbie. Okay, I just wanted to confirm that in my brain, because I can't, like I said, I don't even have a copy of it. So if Debbie can bring me one, or somebody can email me a copy of it, it would be great.
So that email that I resent this link on, if you look back to Mike's original email in that, all of these copies are in that email.
Oh, okay, I will go and try that, because I had, you laugh, you guys can all laugh at me, I had to go to Go Team or something, Live Team or something, and log in and give them a password so I could get in, and that's how I managed to get in today.
Oh, all right.
Question, Pat, do you have something specific you're interested in, or is that a generality? Your question is general.
It was a general question, but the print is small, and I'd have to set and absorb things. I don't just read things and understand them real fast. So that's okay, you can take me off the thing, whatever. I just had that question because it didn't seem right to me and it's probably because I had not received it, that I would have to accept something that was read real quickly today. You know, I like to have a chance to change things if I can, and I understand that I can't.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, what we do have pending is Justin's comment regarding the date. I don't know that I intended that the date would be part of the content. How does the board want to deal with that? Because I suppose that it's in the specific detail, you could claim that should have had the proper date in it. I did that as a placeholder because I didn't want to lose that. That needs to be, but we wouldn't know what that date was until we actually did the second reading. And that was the date that I was gonna do.
Who has the calendar to tell us what the third?
October 20th.
October 20th.
That's the date we set, but we were gonna maybe change that because the pastor
That's the third.
That's the
couldn't,
third Sunday.
so we weren't gonna do that. We were gonna change it to the
I mean-
13th, I guess.
We don't have to.
I don't understand why the date on the bottom is a problem in that it's not gonna be adopted until it's adopted at the
Yeah.
next meeting.
I don't
Because-
think it's a
So
problem.
that's not to me part of the whole,
Content, but it's
Content.
causing confusion on the
Okay.
part of some
Yeah.
people.
Okay.
So it was just stated while we were talking about it, that in our previous bylaws, we have to accept it a first time and a second time. In between the first and second, there can be no change to any of the writing that is on that page. So that was my only concern comment on it, was that is put in there as a placeholder. So from what I was told and how I understand that is something being changed, and so
so the document isn't what's above it, the document includes the adoption date.
That's the way he's understanding.
Okay.
unless, if somebody tells me it's not, I will leave it alone.
It's not.
Okay. So it is not part of the document,
That's
so
what
I revoke my question,
His concern.
concern.
Should that's in it? Thank you, but I understand it. Is there, Pam?
So the committee is new, section 8 is brand new. So the writing on that, the wording of that is because we've never had anything designating a committee in the past or
Correct.
duties?
That's correct.
Correct.
All right.
And we've had committees time and
Yeah.
again, so. it's just-
So October 20th is a Sunday, that's the third Sunday in October, and that's what we have supposedly planned our next meeting for. So we aren't all together to vote on this the second time until then.
Right.
Correct.
That's correct. That would be the process.
Yeah, so that would be the date.
But I understand there's a conflict with pastoral advice.
Correct.
It can't be the
Yeah.
third,
First or the third, he cannot.
so we can make it the 12th. 13th, sorry, 13th. Yeah,
Okay.
we'll make it
Now-
the 12th, but show up on 13th.
Now,
Well, the 12th is a Saturday.
I know.
13.
the date,
Sorry.
though, at this point is irrelevant because it's been withdrawn.
Right,
Yeah, it's been withdrawn
But
because
when we
it's not a part
do
of it.
decide to have our next meeting, that we can move it to the,
Right.
we have the leeway to move to the 12th. Okay?
So are we
We're-
saying we're gonna move to the 12th?
No.
No.
No, not
We'll put
yet.
that at the very end of the meeting.
Can I call the question?
Call question. I believe when you call question, debate stops. We vote on whether or not we approve the call to question, and then we vote on the question at hand, which is the bylaws.
And the maker
First
can't
approval.
call the question.
What's that?
The maker can't call the question.
So that was my question. to
Okay.
call the
So
question.
question has been called. That ends debate. If you want any more debate, you would vote against the question. If you want more debate, no, I'm sorry. If you want more debate, you will go against the question. If you are done debating, we'll vote yes for the call. Pam?
I call the question.
Okay. All in favor of calling question, which ends debate and moves us to a vote on the bylaws, say aye.
Aye.
Is there anyone opposed to the question?
Falling
Call of
asleep.
question is approved.
That's not approved.
I believe we have already the motion by Justin and a second by Dave for approval of draft 2 for the bylaw change. And that's a file name. Draft 2 is a file name. Those in favor, say aye. Aye. Those opposed, nay. Thank you. We will vote on this again at our next meeting before it's implemented. Thank you very much. John, thank you for your help. Steve?
The recording in the minutes is all we need to show that we did vote the first time?
Yes. I believe that's correct.
And we approved it?
Yes.
Okay.
Unless you, it's too late now.
Well, they can derail it.
Make
at
sure
You
the-
can do, that's right. You can
Sure
stop
they
the whole
approve.
thing at the next meeting
Is
because,
approved.
Approved.
Yeah.
Thank you.
yeah. We can start over at the next meeting if there's something you see in the meantime
If you
that
feel
you
like
don't
it's
like or we need to change.
Let's hope
But if you
not.
start over,
You
these
start over.
don't become
That's correct.
Right.
If somebody
into
goes,
next year.
Yep.
if Pat,
Yeah.
if she gets a hold of it and reads it and she's like, that's not right, then that's gonna be
She's not
brought
gonna
up.
do that.
And we're
Yeah.
gonna have to-
Debbie, will you take care of that, please?
Yeah.
Hey, put that in writing, Debbie. You never know about me.
Okay, thank you very much. I appreciate that. That's been hanging around and we've made changes and we've conducted business, kind of outside, kind of on the fringe, and I appreciate that you're willing to move it ahead and get the documentation correct. I think that's important because of our positions at a nonprofit. I think it's important to do. John?
In addition to the bylaws, this board has operationally done things that probably should be backed by policies. And so Mike and I are going to take that on as a next task, and Mike's going to share with me all the past minutes so we can go back and see what's changed. In addition to spraying for poison oak, I know, and who's contributing to the camp. But yeah, so lots of things have changed, but we are operating, you folks have operational guidelines that you've been observing, they're just not written down. For the sake of those folks who come after you, it would be very helpful for them to have an idea of how things work.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, John.
So John and who are gonna do this?
Mike.
I think you said Mike, but I'm not sure.
Now,
Did you-
could that be you?
Could you see me flinch?
No, I didn't want to look.
Okay, B, under old business grant funding guidelines, I believe we were gonna defer that until the next meeting, is that correct?
Correct.
So B is deferred.
Well, you guys are steaming.
To October. Okay, recreational needs assessment, we did ours. And you know, I've got to apologize, you guys need to really, if you see me send something that to you that's wrong, you need to say something, because I believe I sent you a recreational needs assessment that was geared for Grace Lutheran. I put the wrong name, I sent the wrong file. So, and that happens with email, so if you catch that, say, hey, you've got it wrong, send me the correct one. If any of you need the original that John had put together, that's also available, and it's in a electronic file that I can send you. I adapted mine because there was a couple other little things I wanted to know, and I put the church name on it, so I apologize, I sent you the wrong file. We had, 16 family units respond which was a total of 26 individuals.
Could you share with the group some of the responses? I'm curious to hear. I'm sure that they are too. And you have time, for heaven's sakes, it's only 4:08. I told my caregiver it would be a miracle if we were done by 5:30.
Well, we still have a ways to go.
Miracles do happen, yeah, there's a few items.
I'll tell you what, I'll do it fairly briefly. And this is a consistent pattern throughout. There's about 6 of these reports that I have not read on the bottom, that have comments. because I got them today. The key thing is people are seem to be interested in outdoor recreational activities. None of them, except for maybe two, I should say 2 out of 16, are campers. They cannot camp, they will not camp, they will not sleep on the ground. They would go to a resort if you wanted to do that, but they're done camping. Almost everything in here makes reference to a single day outing with for example, a picnic, a walk, some sort of recreational activities, cornhole, that type of activity, that level. Not a true bona fide camping as I'm used to it and as I believe most of us are familiar with. Most of these people will not camp any longer. There's only 2 couples in that group. The age limits go from 88, 79, 73, 68, and 66. 66 is probably the youngest person in this file. The other thing that shows up dramatically in here is that our congregation does not fully comprehend the role of Green Mountain Lutheran Ministries. You can tell by reading the comments, they're expecting these outings to be put together by this group and managed by this group rather than put together by their own congregation and receiving funds to reimburse for that group. But you can go through this and see that I have lost contact with this group, with the congregation in terms of what they're expecting. Part of that is because I think there's 65 or 68 of our congregation who are deceased now compared to 10 or 12 years ago. So we have a completely new group of people that most of these have no idea that Green Mountain even existed. So that's the gist of this report. Looking for possibly a little different way to use recreational. And that has to reflect itself probably in the way the grants are done, because they're probably not, it looks like this group is not going to be doing multiple days camping. It's going to be a picnic or something like that. Justin, go ahead.
It was probably a year ago. We brought up an idea of doing like a PowerPoint presentation to take to all the churches. And it's been crazy for me and my wife, because my wife plays music every Sunday. I run the sound system every Sunday. So for us to get out and try and go see everybody else is harder. But if maybe we could work on some type of PowerPoint presentation that we can show to our churches and show them what Green Mountain is about and how they can either become involved or learn how to the grants work so that they can use what we have to give them.
I don't mind putting a PowerPoint together. That's something I can do.
Okay.
Do we need current?
You'll need photographs. So
Photographs would be nice if available.
Photographs would be nice if available.
Oh, it won't present very well without photographs.
Yeah,
Right.
So it might be a work in progress.
it might be, yeah.
You guys have some events that are going on. You guys are going out for a picnic, take pictures. If you have an outdoor
I have
camp,
lots of,
don't show any sleeping bags.
Yeah.
I have lots of photos from Cottonwood that we do every year, and we get a grant for it.
That'd
I
be
have
great.
lots of pictures.
Good. Email them to me.
Debbie,
Yes?
you have lots of pictures from the ladies' retreats over the years, don't you? Somebody has them?
Yeah. I have
That would be
those.
a good one for John to put in at
Okay,
something.
sounds good.
Go ahead.
Senior population is a common word that's being repeated in here. So the ability to think of John.
Want to have senior-friendly kind of events.
I also did the outdoor recreation needs in our congregation and sent it out in our newsletters as well as got up in front and told people. And I got 3 whole One's done, and all these are my friends. And that's why they did it.
They knew,
Because they
they
knew I-
knew better.
Yeah. And again, it's mainly because our congregation is older and they're not going to be doing that type of thing. But one thing that I kind of brought up was it would be nice maybe to rent a bus and
Yep.
go to Crater Lake for the
Yep.
day and have a picnic, something like
Yep.
that. And I think more of our congregation would be interested in that type of thing.
I work at the Y, and I have a lot of seniors that come to the Y to exercise. We do water wellness classes and stuff. And, yeah, we've done that in the past where we've taken one of our buses, because it's a YMCA, we'll use one of the buses and drive them to the lavender fields. We've taken them to the waterfalls. We've taken them, we actually personally took them around around Christmas to look at the Christmas lights.
I thought wine tasting would be great, but I don't know if you'd go for that.
Not the driver, okay? But the seniors would love it.
But yeah, going around to the lavender fields would be neat.
They loved it. They
Yeah.
loved it. But yeah, that way you can get your seniors to do stuff, you know.
Especially if you have
Outside.
multiple churches doing it, a
Yeah.
couple sister churches.
And then it kind of have to make sure that it fits into the guidelines, or that,
Oh, right.
so that the funds would be available, but, yes. But anyway, that's the overriding thing that came out of our group, is more senior, and not multiple days, they just
Single day
not
events.
going to sleep on the ground.
I'd be curious if there are any confirmation classes, if that might be a target audience.
We have 3 confirmation students right now.
I think if all the churches would incorporate that as part of their confirmation curriculum, that might be, because we're not getting that voice.
Yeah.
And so that's, I think, really important. If we can engage folks in healthy, Christ-centered activity at a younger age, let them know that they're not only not alone, but that they're supported. I think maybe that could help, could make a difference.
Yeah.
A place to consider for the young, maybe all of the confirmants from all of the churches could maybe go to like Camp Lutherwood up by, I guess it's by Eugene, but it's toward the coast. But in the past, we've sent multiple kids from our church, to Camp Lutherwood. Camp Lutherwood.
Are they rebuilt?
Yes, they did rebuild. I think that they did a lot of repair. They got a lot of money, insurance money, I think, and they were working on getting it repaired. But I can check that out for you.
Okay.
I believe I got a word that said they were repaired
Yes, I
and
think I
were
got that too.
operating.
Okay.
Yes.
Because I remember we talked about it and they had burnt, and we were talking about helping them financially, and then it kind of
Didn't go anywhere.
went away.
Okay, so any other comments at this point? On the D is the long-range planning. We have been carrying that forward for quite a while. That comment has been coming up, and the more that, I'm gonna bring it up again. Long-range planning, though, is an interesting word, because it involves, originally, my thought was long-range planning involved the possibility of renewing or revamping property for a camp. That is talked about it. But long-range planning, if we use that as a word, includes not only succession planning, but what are we doing for camping? What are we doing? It's more than just land. It involves quite a few more items. There's no action prior to this meeting having been taken. Does the board want to identify something specific and assign a committee to work on a defined portion of long-range planning, whether that be campgrounds, what have I got it? Succession planning, financial planning, document security is a thing that I'm bringing up under under the new business. Those are all kind of long-range things. What are we going to do? We're in transition, we have been in transition, and we're facing some newer challenges. Does the board want to specifically assign some portion and identify what it is and who's gonna work on it for long-range planning, which could include property, finances, succession, etc.?
So, it was probably 2 years ago that I brought up the property idea. And there was a resounding, absolutely not. And so I have not been bringing it back up because there's not the want or need for that at this time.
I concur.
Okay, and that does, in my opinion, tie into our needs assessment, at least for Grace. The needs assessment don't really reflect another piece of property. Now, that doesn't mean we wouldn't do that, but I'm not sure it's high on the list for our congregation. Okay. Board.
Just a little bit. My experience, when you talk about long-range planning, you're talking about addressing your goals, what your goals are, addressing your mission to see if you like your mission statement. Then you start looking at your organizational strengths, your weaknesses, ways that you can improve, and any of the barriers that might be presented along the way. So it's more of a groupthink kind of a thing. I don't see any reason why it couldn't be done electronically, which is to say over a period of time, asking people questions and gathering their feedback. I don't know if I prefer that as a method. It would take time to have a session where you developed a long-term or a strategic plan.
Okay.
Sounds
I don't
good,
see this-
John.
Is she talking?
She just said, sounds good.
Okay. I don't see this as a crisis, it's just something that I keep carrying forward, and if the board wanted to take action on it, then I wanted to get it out there. My suggestion, I don't see this as an actionable item at this point, but my suggestion is to think about that during the course of the next 6 months and review it, be kind of serious about what do we want to look at into the future. We still have good funds. In our congregation's experience, we're barely using any of those funds. And there is one little taboo subject that is floating around in our congregation, and that is how long are we going to be able to sustain ourselves? That is a real problem for Grace. We've somehow adopted the name of a heritage church, and that is a awkward place to be. That may or may not be in our future. We have a net growth the last year, which is remarkable, but we have not replaced the 60 or 70 people who have died. And so that all of a sudden becomes part of long range, at least in my opinion. So I suggest you think about it, and I'll hold it on old business and bring it back up again the next meeting, unless someone wants to do something different with it. Okay, we'll go to old business for next meeting. New business. Steve, you had something that you wanted to bring up.
Yeah, I know this group has done a lot of work, and there's a lot of money that's gone out to outdoor ministries, but I was just looking at the amount of money that is involved, that we have here, that's sitting there doing not much, well, gaining more money. And it just occurred to me that maybe we should broaden out a little bit and let maybe the local churches have more input on what with some of this money, being as the whole district was involved in this initial thing. So I just had some brainstorms here I wanted to, or not brainstorms, but just some pondering that I'd like for you to maybe look at and decide if there's anything that interests you or anything that strikes you about changing kind of the direction we would go. So I'll just pass this out and you can read it. We don't have to really spend any time on it today, but I'd like for you to just maybe think about it. My concern is all this money not doing anything right now, and a lot of churches are having problems financially in other ways.
Thank you.
I once brought up a point of maybe broadening it to include Christian education, like preschools and stuff, and we didn't decide not to do that, so I don't know that this will go anywhere, but I just thought it might be something to think about. Being as our congregations are getting much older and they're not, as the questionnaires show, they're not really into outdoor ministries quite as much as you'd like them to be.
You know, Steve, this in some ways fits my vision of long-range planning. What other things are available out there to engage in for Green Mountain? And I think we not only have to identify what that would be, but we would also have to make sure or find a way that would fit our current mission.
Right, I was wondering if it would cause a real problem to change into something like this.
Any comments on this from the board at the moment?
I do, but I won't express.
It seems to me like this, this stuff is kind of all Greek to me at times. But anyway, as far as the outdoor planning and these activities, it seems like it's getting harder and harder, like to do the Diamond Lake thing or to do the camp out thing, and everything. And when I see all this money sitting in here, I've had this thought that what would make the churches individually more happy than to get some of this money assigned to them, given every church gets some money like you're talking about here, to be able to do some things within their church, like at our church, we've had to redo our bathrooms at our church, and we've had two big garage sales, which is a ton of work, to do that kind of stuff, I can't believe that every church couldn't use a little bit of extra money if you're thinking in terms of using up some of these funds. Because I also see in our congregation, the members are getting older and older. We don't seem to be having the young ones come in that are gonna step up and take Mike's place and my place and your place, So what's gonna happen in 10 or 15 years? Where's all this money gonna go?
Well, in 10 or 15 years, are we gonna be in a church?
Well, that's,
We're moving to online everything.
Okay,
well, yeah.
Benita, go ahead.
I just remember when this started and the purpose of it and the people who started it. And we have to respect that. And going and doing other things that would not have been what they planned. And this is Carl talking.
Yeah.
Outdoors.
You got to respect the whole reason it all started.
Yeah.
You can't just I don't know.
Pam?
I actually thought of that, crossed my mind. And then I finished my thought with, if we start disbanding this money, we are disbanding this group. So the rest of that thought then was, we're limiting it to outdoor ministry. Perhaps we could broaden that so it's more inclusive. We limit what we can do with it because it has to be used outdoor. So maybe some of that could be thought in that long-range planning of that it doesn't have to be all for outdoor if it's still benefiting the church and the church groups. But
I know we run into this a little bit on the grant committee as far as the people that are on the grant committee. They approve the grant based on it's an outdoor activity, and they say, okay, well, if it's in your parking lot, yes, it's outdoor, but you haven't done anything. You haven't like gone to a park to do it or whatever. But I think that, again, because our congregations are older, for them to go to a park might be harder than for them to do it in their parking lot at their church. So I think we have to look at that, the older congregation.
I agree totally with what you said about from the beginning and the original intention of what this was set up for. But on the other side, times are changing and it's a different world, and you can't just sit back with what happened 40 years ago. You do have to advance with the changes, because like he said, are we even going to be in a church in 15 years? Well, I hope I'm here in 15 years and I am in a church, but you know, we don't know. So we have to advance with the changes. So there's a
line.
win-win, lose-lose. I don't know.
John, may I ask, who else is or is planning to take advantage of a needs assessment in their congregation? We've done ours, and I think there's been some others. Do you have enough information to data mine that? And can we use the information from there to make some adjustments some reasonable adjustments to the way the grant committee operates and expand it, still keeping it inside outdoor activities, but maybe moving that so that it maybe can be used for the bus, or maybe used for a picnic location, or maybe even used in the church parking lot, even though we generally don't do that.
And we do that, but say someone says, oh, I want $500, and they're going to go to the lake, then usually the members of the grant committee will vote to give them all the money. But if it was in your parking lot, they might say, oh, well, let's just give them, 40% of that money or 80% of that money, not give them the full grant that they asked for. And yet we have the money available. They are making an effort to even ask for the money, which there's not a lot that goes out. I mean, we have $5,000 and we didn't use it all last year, so.
Are the policies and procedures for the grant committee, are they going to maybe revise how that's looked at in the future?
Well, it just says outdoor activity.
Right now,
so
we're kind of operating inside of our mission statement.
That's
If you
right.
broaden your mission statement, then you might free up some other avenues of.
Justin, first?
Well, I was just thinking, you keep talking about parking lot, we do our trunk or treat in the parking lot here.
Right.
But this last year we had, I think, over 500 kids come through.
Right.
It was the biggest one we've had in 5 years.
But
And-
Justin,
Yeah.
your outdoor ministry there is an incredible ministry to reach the community. If you're going to have a church picnic in your parking lot, then that's not an outreach to the community. That's why your church gets money for that. That's my opinion. Sorry, I'm an oldie.
But you're still a goodie, Pat.
Yeah, we're glad.
No, I don't know.
You're on the grant committee, so.
Well, also, I'm like, as long as I got the floor, don't take the floor away. Sorry. I'm one of the original people on the grant committee. I mean, on the founding of our Green Mountain. But the thing of it is you think about things that old people can do, okay? Someone said they could rent a bus. Through the school districts, I don't think you can do that anymore, but if there is a place, I would love to go over and go on the railroad thing over on the coast, go on a ride on those things, and the older people can do that as long as they can pull themselves up inside of a train or get boosted in. But there's a lot of things that could be done that way, or go take a bus and go down the river and have a picnic and enjoy that, outside of their local area. There's lots of places to go. It's just a matter of getting a transportation for together. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
So, there are a lot of things, and yes, to change that, you would have to, the grant committee is always got their grants out within the or the mission statement. That's what we've always gone by. So if you did want to go other places, but still riding a bus and going over to a railroad or to the coast for a day, it still covers that. There are a lot of things. We just have to get our heinies in gear and create something and get the details all together so that you can ask for a grant.
Thank you, Pat.
And get kids to go to camp.
Yeah, find out what the kids want.
Let's see. Might I suggest that we table this to the next meeting?
Yeah.
And by tabling and identifying it's the next meeting, it is intentional about going under old business. It's not gone, it comes back up. With the intent that the board members consider what Steve has written here and come back with specific ideas to expand the mission statement of our mission statement. Be assertive about thinking about how we can use it and if we need to make some changes, because I think the things that we're talking about are all tied together and somewhat loosely connected to a long-range planning and the changes in our congregations.
You might consider your capacity to, while you're thinking about what you want to do, think about your ability to do it.
Financially
Because
or with,
well, some people have been kicking around all this money, but I don't see a lot of money. I mean, maybe $10,000 of money, and I see a whole lot of value, which fluctuates.
Right.
Value does not translate into money. In fact,
Yeah.
a year ago, you would have asked us how much money we had on it. We had quite a debate over that question, value versus money.
okay. Does that seem like a reasonable action at this point?
Yes.
Okay, I believe we need a motion to that. I believe I can make a motion for that.
To put something on your agenda?
To table, can I table? Can the president table? I don't think,
I moved the
You put it
I
on your
moved it.
agenda, you can just carry
I
it on your.
move-
Carry it
I
on.
have been for the last couple of years, just carrying it. And if you guys are happy with that, that's what we'll do.
It's your agenda.
Go ahead, Pat.
We need to continue this conversation.
If it's needed, I move that we table this to the next meeting.
Second.
Jordan? Okay,
Can't make a motion.
okay, all right. Let's be moved and second that we table this discussion until the next meeting. I would encourage you to be thoughtful about the information that Steve has given us. Is there any other, do we have a second?
I said so.
You said second. Any other discussion?
I would just like to say what John was saying about the money, value, and right now, the value is becoming less and less. I mean, if you spend the money, you get some value, but if you don't, you lose some. So, I don't know how, what's going to happen to the stock market or what's going to happen financially in the country, but it seems to me like we're losing value, even though it's gaining in value.
Any other comments? In favor of tabling to the next meeting, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, say nay. Okay, very good. You know what might be interesting, and this is not part of the motion, this is not part of something, you might take the examples. Do you mind, Steve, if we take your examples and prioritize them?
Sure.
Yes.
Whatever, or add to or take away,
It might be a good drill to set those in a priority and for no other reason than to
Most
identify
churches.
for yourself how you feel about that.
I mean,
Thank you. The other part of new business, I brought this up, this is electronic file protection and access. What a headache. I brought this up primarily because I didn't, when we made that transition, there didn't seem to be a lot of electronic data available for me to start to work off of. And so I created some data. And now I have this big folder full of files. And if I die and I hand it to Gene, he's going to roll his eyes and not have a clue what I've been doing. He not only would have difficulty getting access to it, would be difficult probably to follow my thinking process. And so the more that I worked on this, and I thought, is it time for, as maybe part of our long-range planning even, to find a platform or find a way so that the entire board has access to those files, so that we're not caught off guard by the demise of one particular individual, and that there's continuity in the way that we operate. I was thinking primarily of administration. I have not been thinking about the position, the treasurer's position, and how that works. But I wanted to bring it up, and I do not know how to take action on that. I don't know who to talk to. I don't have any idea. And maybe it is not a concern for you, but do be aware that you can lose a lot of work. We probably lost a lot of work from Carl. Now, we have it in paper, but we don't have it digitally, and that's one of the advantages now. So, go ahead, Justin.
Google Docs, there's multiple different document platforms that are shareable that give you free, like I think Google's 15 gigabytes of free data. So if we set up a Green Mountain at Gmail account, and that houses all of the documentation, that when whoever puts something in there, then they allow access to it by the group that is at the time.
Do we have the ability to restrain third parties from getting access to that? That was the other concern, because I'm not really, and I'm thinking foreign third parties, not the board members.
Yeah.
And I don't know how to do that. And I think if putting it on a platform or having it available is a good idea. The risk in doing that is people having access to that we don't want to have access to that. Pam, did you have a comment first?
No.
Okay, John?
With Google Docs, you can restrict who has access to the documents. You can list by email address who's allowed in to look. I'm thinking, though, it might be a lot easier just to have a policy stating which platform, which documents, what format of documents the organization chooses to use, and that all documents be in those formats. Seems to me that Word is generally acceptable to most everyone. I think even on Apple platforms now, or products now, you can access Word documents, which is a Microsoft doc, and then PDF format. So it would be probably a policy that would say, hey, all documents will be stored in these two formats. When they go out to everybody, they're going to come out in those two formats. When I get documents from you, Mike, I download them and park them in my Green Mountain, my GMLM folder, and that's where they sit. So.
Now, if I'm not mistaken, I'm getting out to the fringe of my knowledge here. I don't think I'm sending those to you as PDFs. Is that correct?
That's correct. They're coming out in Word,
In
which
Word.
is acceptable and accessible.
Okay, all right.
In your Word, you can, so the nice thing about PDF is harder to change wording in. If you send it out in a Word document, people can open it in Word and go in there and edit it and change it to whatever they want. If you export it in as a PDF from Word, then a PDF is a lot harder to change. And so that's why PDF is more of what is sent out, because then it's not changeable.
are the two file sets, I'm just trying to.
Formats.
The formats. Are the two formats married to a Google platform? Do they work?
Yes.
Do they interchange
Google can access both,
Yep.
both.
Google and Word, or Google and,
Google can access a Word document, and it can access a PDF. It displays them, it doesn't allow you to have interaction,
Correct.
but it will show the.
So it'll be a viewed document.
And I'm guessing that other platforms do the same. I'm guessing Outlook does the same, Yahoo's gonna do the same. I think all of them are going to allow you to just click on the attachment and it'll open up.
okay. Are there any of you, depending on what platform you're using, are you having any trouble opening any of the documents? Because I believe I am sending them in Word. My Gmail account is where my email is, but I believe I'm doing my work in Word.
Yes,
Are you
everything is being sent out in Word.
Are you able to get them open?
Yes.
Except Pat.
Except me, yes, that's right. And I do
Okay.
everything, I
So-
do everything in Word, so I'm very familiar with it. It's just that, remember I had to go to some yo-yo place to get the documents out before.
Okay. Does anyone else, at this point, am I the only one that's concerned about this, or does the board want to put this in as an action item, or to be carried forward as old business?
So my suggestion would be save all of your documents that you're doing. As Green Mountain, we buy a 2 terabyte external hard drive. You save your documents onto that external hard drive. You send them out to people. If the time comes when you're done or you have to leave, that gets handed over to the next person. All of the documents are on there. They're secured. I mean, you're talking about third parties getting in, that third parties are gonna get in anywhere. So, I mean, they'll get into your email, they'll get into your bank accounts, it doesn't really matter. You know, if they sit there long enough, they'll get into it. So, it's,
So, question, is your purpose to preserve it in a different format than paper? Or easily accessible as opposed to paper?
He's doing it on his computer. Whatever he's
I know.
saving now is not printed.
For my purpose, of course, I print all of this and put it in a written form. I'm still believing that's the proper way to keep track for our organization. My main concern is that there's a lot of time rebuilding stuff, and the first thing I was thinking of, if there's something happens and Gene or anyone else has to kind of take over, that creates, you really would be disappointed in me. And so I do think that it's to this organization's advantage to have a way to transfer that, particularly, firstly, in an emergency. Secondly, we know there will be a transition at some point, and do that electronically as opposed to paper. Because once it's an electronic file, you can make your changes to your bylaws, you can work on your minutes, you can work on that. It makes the workflow so much easier. And that's where it came from, is thought, oh my gosh, would be great. It might even be great for input. As we mature as a group, we may want to put input through these documents from a remote setting, not necessarily at the meeting every time. I think it expands our capabilities a little bit. So that's why I brought it up.
I would say a hard drive would be the easiest, cheapest, quickest way
I
to
think so too.
make sure that everything gets transferred. It is one device about this big, and you hand it off to the next person and it's done. They now have all the documents. Whether you still have them on your computer or not, it doesn't matter, because they're on that hard drive. They have access to them.
Okay, so that would include a policy as well as a piece of hardware. Steve, let's see, I saw you shaking your head on the third-party comments. Are you aware of a way to protect ourselves from third party?
No, I wasn't.
Oh, okay.
I must have been,
Oh,
the
okay,
thing
all
is,
right.
no, I like the idea of just being on a external hard drive where you can put it in and see it printed, see.
And then it can be transferred to
Yeah.
whoever is. Okay, so now what about the relationship between the president and the secretary? Or the president, secretary, and treasurer? Those are positions, do we need to have an interface? Well, she would have. Is that right? If we had a separate hard drive, do you automatically have access for your secretary?
Two separate hard
Not
It would
through
be
email.
separate, it would be separate.
Yeah, you would have to get 2 hard drives at that point.
Oh, okay, all right.
I mean, there's nothing that says that we can't do, Google Docs as well. But if you're talking about the longevity of holding the information, a hard drive is going to be your best opportunity to hold that. And I mean, if you really want to do it right, you're going to do 2 of them, and you have your primary and your backup. So if anything ever happened to one, you have a secondary.
Okay, Pam, how does this relate to the treasurer's
She needs one.
information? That is probably something that, passwords and stuff that we don't want out there.
Well, I do the same thing. Whatever files I'm working on, I save them to the Green Mountain Lutheran Ministry in my hard drive. They're not external, but they're saved, and I can easily download those to a thumb drive or another external hard drive to pass it along. But that's not anything prior to me in there, and I think everything that you had is on thumb drive,
Right.
which is an external drive. It's just not an external hard drive.
Right.
Okay, does the board see any need for you as individuals to have access to working documents between meetings?
I have my own,
Okay,
and I'm not going to share.
I was kind of hoping maybe, hey, Justin, you got time to, I had an idea there.
I mean, if that's the case, then you email it over in a Word format, and then they can edit it and send it back to you in a Word format. And
Okay, do you mind if I do some research on that? I'll probably have to ask my
You're more than welcome.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's your job.
No, we want to do it. All right.
Did I hear that? You wanted to? Okay, very good. I will add that, that will go back onto the old business, and I'll come back with some sort of a report. Any other new business, anything else to go over before we move to the next category, which is elections? Okay, officers are elected every year at the first semi-annual meeting.
That's this one.
That is this meeting. We know what our current board is in terms of president, vice president, treasurer, secretary, and pastor. Now, I didn't realize pastor was not going to be here, and so I never asked him if he would continue as an advisor. I believe in the past we have voted people in anyway, and in the absence of saying no, we probably can do that, but
in talking to him this morning, he did not tell me that he would not take it.
okay.
So I didn't directly ask him, but he didn't say no.
Okay. So at this point, as far as, it would seem to me that the floor is open for nominations for the officer positions for the coming current year, which would be through the spring meeting of the 25. It's awful quiet.
They know when to shut up, don't they?
So I'm, on the agenda, I'm confused where we're at.
I am, I might have skipped something. I am on 11 elections, C.
Okay,
A and B
okay, they're just comments.
are the second meeting, and those are directors. It is only the officers at the first annual meeting. Letter C on my agenda, please.
So, president, vice president, and
Treasurer.
Treasurer
treasurer.
and secretary.
Treasurer, secretary, and pastoral advisor.
I move
What we
that
have
we
done in
keep
the
the
past
same
is
officers.
entertain,
I make a motion that we accept the same ones that are on there now.
No, I decline.
You decline, oh, okay.
okay, secretary declines. Jean, are you willing? I'm willing as president.
She just took over, so she has to stay.
So we have an open, and pastor's gonna be reelected to his position. We need a secretary. Do we have someone who will be willing to take the responsibility for the secretarial position? We do need that position in some way, shape, or form.
I thought that's what Gene said he was going to do.
No,
You're doing vice president?
yes.
Okay.
Let's see, Dirk is not here.
Dirk is
Pastor-
here.
Pastor had talked to him, and he did express an interest. I have not had any contact with him, and I'm not even sure whether he's getting my emails. I expected him today.
He has been getting your emails. I talked to him last week. And he talked about coming today, but I didn't see him today because I went to early service, not late.
Okay. So we would like to have a secretarial position for our board.
Pat, did you want to do that?
No, thank you. I like to talk, I don't like to write notes.
She likes to
Tape
talk.
recorder.
Yeah.
They fail, remember?
What was your question?
She said they fail. Tape recorders fail.
I was just gonna say, you guys let me purchase a tape recorder about 2 years ago, and I took it home, and that's the worst thing. I mean, it picks up all the noise.
Everything.
It picks up me shuffling this piece of paper. It's not, that's why just speak up at the meeting. I don't need the tape recorder.
Yeah.
They don't work very good.
Does the tape, I was meant to ask you whether the recording, does that work or help? The recording of the meeting?
It doesn't help, because when you go to listen to it, I can't understand it because there's so much background noise. I mean, it doesn't come through clear, and that's why you see me without it here. You tried to work with it one time when I was here, and it just, I went home and tried to do some minutes, and it was very frustrating.
There are better systems. I'm on another board, and they have, I don't know what system it is, but I've heard the replay of it, and you can hear everyone talking clearly. We announce who we are, what our board position is, and state whatever we're saying, so that who's ever re-listening to it, they know who just spoke. And like Pam from Grants Pass or whatever, and then I say what I say. I don't know what their system is, but it works really well.
Do they use the electronic recording as the minutes, or do they document it to paper?
They listen to it and then she types up the minutes.
Transcribes
She
it.
Okay,
transcribes.
so it is transcribed.
But the
Which is what I
sound
tried
is
to do.
really good. You don't, I understand the shuffling and stuff, the background noise, and this system, whatever it is, I don't know. I didn't buy it, I just know that it works.
Okay.
So
all right.
perhaps that's a possibility of a better system, I don't know.
Okay, all right.
You're still gonna need someone to write the minutes.
You still have to do the transcribe. Pam, have you worked with, let's see. What's the electronic transcribe, the voice to
Text?
text? Anybody have experience with voice to text?
Yeah, but it doesn't always say what I say.
Nope. I use it sometimes to record phone calls that, I go back later on, and yeah, it doesn't. It's not very accurate.
Okay, all right, very good.
Well, the one on my phone is, so I don't know if there's different systems as far as
There are.
that goes. That, it works pretty good. Every once in a while, there's a word it doesn't know and it makes it up, but
Yeah.
you can tell that it made it up and you can fix it.
Yeah. it'd be nice if it just put an asterisk next to it, like, I didn't understand this one, but that's what I thought you said.
I would, in the interim, be secretary if we had some, I cannot take minutes and write at the same time. Listen, and I've never been able to do that in school, when you take notes and they're talking, I can't write and talk, I can't do both. But if it was recorded and then I can play it later, that's a
Well, we have,
possibility.
I'm recording it here, and we have the tape recorder, which is on the back table,
And on
and
this recording, you can hear it through.
I'll let you listen to it when we're done.
Now, that's, the recording is what I used when I transcribed. It's a tedious process, is how I would describe it. But you get, I believe I got fairly accurate information on who was speaking and what was going on. But it's a painful process. Pam, if you would, let's see, first of all, will you take care of these minutes?
Yeah, I'll finish out my year.
Okay. Pam, would you look into, or can you find out what the system is that the other group
Yeah.
uses? And if you would be willing to take this in the interim, let's say 2 meetings, the fall meeting and the spring meeting of next year, would that be acceptable?
Yes, so that's a
Okay.
year from this October.
That would be correct. With the intent that we get a better recording system that can actually, it might be able to do transcribing for us, or at least we're able to transcribe off of the recording. Would you take that?
Yes.
Okay.
I think if you got a better quality recorder, I mean, I had this little thing that was half the size of this phone, it would be better, you know? That's my thought. I don't know that much about all that technical
Well,
stuff.
the other problem is, like, listen to speakers, as soon as you touch this, you know,
Yeah.
they're plastic tables, they're, you know, lightweight, and so everything transfers
They're
through them, and
drums.
the microphone's standing on it.
And if two
so.
people talk at the same time, I mean, you know, so
Yep.
it's, you know, so I,
So
We
then
might-
you call board to order if that happens, because that system also wouldn't pick up who's talking over.
Right, really, the discipline starts here, and that we identify who we are and what we're speaking to. We might have to upgrade our process and courtesy, the way we handle our meeting.
so my,
Okay, yes.
oh, I gotta push it. So isn't our term to the end of the year? I mean, I was elected for this year, but I've been doing this for 4 or 5 years. But you're elected till the end of the year, right?
No, end of this meeting, because this is the beginning of the new officers.
Oh, okay.
It goes
well
from
then, I mean,
beginning, or the end of the spring till the end of the next spring meeting. That's the way I read
Correct.
the,
2 meetings,
that's correct.
Okay, so she should take over next meeting.
Yes.
Well, absolutely, Pam, you can, absolutely.
Okay. Our bylaws allow for the same person to hold the position of the treasurer and the secretary, so that is acceptable from our current bylaws. So, okay? So what we have then is a position for the president, Jean for vice president, Pam is doing secretary of treasurer, and we don't have pastor's approval or acceptance for the pastoral advisor.
You want me to call him real quick and see if he's in a spot where he can get cell signal?
Actually, yes. If
Okay.
you guys have time, I would just say yes.
Pat, we're not gonna be able to hear you for a second, so.
Sure.
While that's in progress, we will deal with the next meeting time, which had been previously set. We agreed a meeting before to do on the 20th, October 20th, 24. We can change that. Would you like to change that to the 13th?
That was suggested earlier.
Yes, for the purpose of getting the pastor here. I would really prefer that he's present.
Yeah, yes,
Yes.
definitely.
Do we need a motion to make that change?
No,
I don't.
think so.
I don't think so, you just set the meeting, right?
Okay, so the meeting is October 13th, 3 o'clock,
his agenda.
this location. Oh, look at the power.
So we need to vote on, okay.
We're waiting for the call.
So, Mike, do I need to try to get someone else as a representative from our church, or is that necessary?
still on the board,
Well,
No.
unless you don't want to,
I
unless you
don't
want to
know,
resign.
I've done it for 5 years, and I just, it's a 200-mile trip for us to come down, and
The short answer is yes, we encourage you to find your own replacement. You do not have to.
Pam,
If there isn't one, then there's simply not a
surveys my rights
representative.
here.
But we do encourage you to find your own
I'll
replacement.
try, I'll see if I can find someone.
Okay,
Thank you very much.
okay,
Can I
so
throw?
it is your intention then.
Go ahead, Pat.
Oh, I thought you couldn't hear me. I just realized that. Hey, I was going to say, if she's interested in doing it outside of the cost of coming, which I totally understand, totally, and that maybe we could compensate her for her fuel so that she would be able to come and be a part of us.
You
Or a
talking about me,
portion.
Kat?
Yes.
Yes,
No,
yes.
I got other things, I'm ready to let someone else do this, and,
Okie dokie.
We appreciate your time.
hey,
Yeah,
not a
commitment.
problem,
Totally.
not a problem.
It was a suggestion to help you out because I know it's a long distance.
Oh, hey, well, I appreciate that, but it's just, we wanna do some traveling, and, lots of times, like September, October, I'm not even here. I missed the last October meeting, and I probably will miss this one. So I think it'd be better if I just, let someone else experience this. It's a great committee, and I've enjoyed it, but I think it's time to move on.
Okay, would you
Yeah.
see if you can find someone to locate your position
I'll
and then
try.
send me an email officially resigning from the board.
Okay,
And if you can't find someone in a timely fashion, that is okay. That would just be a board position that's open.
well, I guess I could stay, I don't know, I guess I could stay on the board until I find someone, like next meeting, if I don't have anybody. But she would do the secretary.
That's right, so I'm not going to,
Let me see what I can do.
When's her term
you're,
on?
you're not going to resign from the board unless I get an email from you,
Right. I
What
may
did
have
Pastor
to
say?
go ahead.
okay?
He did not answer, and he has not looked at his text message, so he's probably preaching right now.
Okay, so what we have is a motion for a slate of officers on the board, with the pastor being absent for his position. In my conversation with him, or email conversation, I did not detect anything that said he did not want to serve. I would say we include him on that board, or on that slate of officers. Is there any disagreement to that? Do we actually have a motion?
Not yet.
Okay, we need a motion.
Let me clarify that first, okay? So you have down president for you, vice president Jean, and secretary treasurer Pam, and the pastor, correct? And that's the official
Pastor
officer
Gary, yeah.
for board?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, that's correct.
And so I would say if he didn't want to do it, he wouldn't have asked us to move the meeting so that he could be here.
I'm okay with that, if everyone else is.
I move that we unanimously elect those officers that were just.
Say that what?
Unanimously elect those officers that were just listed.
There you
I'll
go.
second it.
Okay.
Is there any discussion? Those in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, nay. Motion passed. And we already moved our meeting to the 13th at 3 o'clock in this location. Okay, all right. Is there any other business to bring up, anything else that?
I just have one thing. So, should I come to, if I can, should I come to the October meeting? How am I gonna get all this stuff that I have and the past records that I have to Pam?
Bring them with you.
Bring them at that meeting?
Yes.
Okay, if I can make it, okay, I'll figure that out.
If you don't, then let me know and we'll find a way to do it.
Okay,
Okay?
okay.
I have a quick question. How to, will we still sign in the same way again next time? Or will you give us that information before the
I'll
meeting?
pick you up. You can come to the meeting.
I might not be alive.
Well, then I guess you don't have to worry about signing in either.
Well, just in case.
Yes, I will send it out in an email. It'll probably be right before the meeting because I built one this morning that did not work, and so I had to rebuild it as soon as I got here at 2:30. So I'll probably send it right before the meeting on the back of Mike's email announcing the meeting.
Awesome, thank you.
Okay. I don't know why it didn't come through, but
Okay. Pam, do you have something?
So every single officer is elected once a year.
That's
All
correct,
positions,
at the
okay.
spring meeting.
Okay, we don't alternate.
The board position members alternate odd and even years at the second meeting.
And is that for 1 year also?
2 years.
2 years.
That's what I
It's
thought.
2 years, or, yes.
Board is two,
Odd and even,
officers.
yes,
Four.
yes. Seems a little bit redundant, but
Sherry, your term has been up, will be up in the fall.
My term's up, yeah.
In the
Will
fall,
be up
yeah,
in the fall.
that's for the board
for your board position.
Your term ends
Oh,
with the next meeting.
at the end.
The board,
so my board position will be up when again? This September
In
fall?
October.
Our October meeting, the end of our October meeting will be the end of that.
So if I come to that
Alright,
meeting, then I
that's
can
what I-
officially resign?
Yes.
Okay,
Yes.
okay, I'll try to plan on that then. Well, there you are.
Any
I just
Very coolly here.
asked if you were
Yeah.
here.
Any other comments or business? I would
Voted last year.
like you to actually take some time to think about Steve's thoughts and do some priorities. That'll be an assignment that'll come up on old business. I believe I can adjourn the meeting. I don't believe I need a motion. The meeting's adjourned. Would someone like to do a closing prayer?
Okay, I just got a message, check my messages, Tammy from Gloria Dave, she tried to get in and couldn't.
Okay.
So,
Okay, you can't get it, you cannot get
She
it.
probably clicked on the wrong one.
she clicked on the wrong
Hey,
one. I sent her the thing for the
For the new
first
one.
one.
Okay, because you couldn't get in with the second one, unless you belong to that.
She never got the second one.
Okay, but I still couldn't get in. I had to play around with my thing, and then I had to go join that Team Live thing with a password. And then I could go back and click on some helpline. I can't remember what I click on. I just click on things until they work. So I think you have to be a part of that Team Live or whatever, something so that you can get into the meetings.
You shouldn't have to. That's why I chose Teams, because I can invite you and you can come in as a guest, whether you have Teams or not. So as long as you can click on that link that I sent you, it should bring you right to the meeting.
And it would not on mine.
Huh.
But my machinery never works, so don't worry about it.
Well,
I can get in.
it's nice to know, but it's hard for me to do it otherwise because I have Teams on everything that I have because I've used it for 8 years. And so I can't go in and troubleshoot the way that you guys do because it pops right up for me.
Yeah, that's a challenge for all. Each way, different ways, yes.
Yeah. So
Thank you for listening to my complaints.
you're welcome.
Dave, do you want me to send a notification to Tammy at the next meeting? Or do you
Yes.
have her in line as a board member?
I've got her involved, she was gonna come today, I don't know why she didn't.
I will,
She's been working, so yes, I'd like.
let me
keep her
check
in
the
loop.
records because I think I have her email and I will include her in the notification for the next meeting, if that's all right.
Yeah.
Okay.
And-
All right. Any other? Let's have a prayer. Heavenly Father, thank you for this opportunity. Thank you for your guidance through this meeting. We would ask for safe journeys home. In Jesus' name we thank you. Amen.
Amen.
Thank you very much, Paul.
Bye, Pat.
Bye. Take care, everybody.
Dinner before you head back over the
Oh,
hill.
we ate before we got here. It was fine. I know, it's gonna be too late by the time
You get home,
yeah.
yeah.
Find a ways.
So Tammy wasn't getting it because she wasn't on our email list then?
Right.
Okay, so that's why she couldn't see
See,
the,
I sent, all this stuff I've been sending to her myself.
Gotcha.
Because I knew she wasn't getting it.
okay, so I saw a text message come in from a number I didn't know. I didn't even read it. It was like, you know, everybody was here, I wasn't expecting
Yeah,
anybody
but I
else.
didn't think of her till now.
Yeah, well,
Hey, okay, no, I'm just.
Debbie.
Debbie, I'm sorry, I get,
No, that's okay.
I just went down
Steve,
for a picnic, I just, I've got, I had.
you as well.
Are you, is your business plumbing?
Make sure that's a washing.
No, so I started a wildland fire company
I
last
think that's
year.
a day.
And so we have 2 trucks and I have 4 employees and I'm guessing that it's gonna be a very fire year. Yeah, looking at how everything's growing and the grass around my place is knee high already and, you know, and so as soon as we start getting a little bit of a drought, it's gone. It's gonna be a crazy year.
Take care.
Yeah, thank you.
We go right after church, and so we can grade attendance, because we only have one service, right? So everybody's there and everybody goes to the picnic. Because if they go home, they be somewhere else,